Okay, this is lesson 54, Slope-Intercept Form. So today, here's the objective. Let's read this objective out loud as a class. Ready and begin.
I will be able to graph and intercept.
Okay, I will be able to graph and interpret linear functions. Good. So we're going to graph them specifically. That's the goal today, is to graph. Okay? So remember yesterday the vocabulary, we had slope, which is m, which is the steepness of the line. Y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. And then slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, y'all remember that from yesterday? Okay, cool. So today we're going to do that. So a couple things here. When y is by itself, we form a straight horizontal line for zero slope. So you see how it says y equals 5? If you see a graph like this, this is super important because some of you are going to be so confused. Okay. Alright, so y equals to 5 is, we want to make sure that we know how to graph this, okay? So when y is by itself, we form a straight horizontal line for a zero slope, right? Because if I think about it, y equals to 5, it's like me saying y equals 0x plus 5, right? So when I do that, it's like there's no slope, right? You see the floor in our classroom, what kind of slope is on our floor? None, it's flat, right? There's no steepness on the floor of this classroom, right? So just like our line, it's 0x. 0 times x is 0, plus 5 is 5. So, does that make sense? No slope. Okay? The other one that's kind of tricky is the second one. When x is by itself, we form a straight vertical line for an undefined slope. So, vertical line is undefined. So, x equals to -1 is a vertical undefined slope. It looks like that. Okay? Does that make sense, everyone? These are two special tricks. Or special, not tricks, they're cases that you need to know. Special cases, okay? And I'm going to move on here for the sake of time because it's minimum day, okay? Alright, so I'll do numbers 1 and 2. So, and these are the steps. If you're in the video, you should pause the video and write the steps down before we start. Alright, so here we go. So number 1, remember yesterday we talked about slope-intercept form. Is this in slope-intercept form, everyone? No, what would you do to put in the slope-intercept form? Turn to your neighbors really quick and tell them what you do. Okay, what would we do, everyone? How do I get y by itself? Add 2x on both sides. Good. So we're going to add 2x on both sides. Okay. So we got y is equal to, and instead of putting 4 first, I'm going to put 2x first because I know that this is slope-intercept form. You see? Eyes up here right now, no writing. Please don't write because you're distracted at that point and then we miss stuff, okay? So y equals 2x plus 4. We have a slope and a y-intercept. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, so the 2x plus 4, we know that we can figure out our slope. What's our slope from yesterday? M is equal to what? No, what's our slope? M is equal to what? 2, thank you. Not mx plus b. 2, right? Y'all see that? How do I make 2 a fraction? Good, okay. We need to have a fraction when we talk about slope. And then our y-intercept is 4, which is b is equal to 4. Okay? So 2 over 1. When I say 2 over 1, we need a fraction because the numerator in our slope tells us how much to rise in the graph. Okay, so I'm going to put it in blue. And the denominator tells us to run, okay? So this is how I would graph it. The first thing I would do is I look for the y-intercept, which we said is 4, and I go on the y-axis up to 4. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, y'all see that? I plot a point here. And then from here I use the slope to plot some more points. So I'm going to rise. You see the numerator says rise 2. I'm going to rise 2. And then I'm going to run 1. Y'all see that? Again, I'm going to rise 2 and run 1. So I should have a point right here. Does that make sense, everyone? So then I'm going to plot a point. I ran out of space. I could keep rising, but I can't. I don't have any more space on my paper, but I know it could keep going forever. So I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to rise -2 and run -1 because I know that my graph needs to go that way, in that direction. And plot a point here. And I could check my work just by checking the slope from here to here. from my new point. So I'm still rising 2 and running 1. You see that? So isn't this the same slope? Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and I'm plotting points here. And do you notice that all my points are kind of getting in a straight line? Y'all see that? So since we're graphing a line, then I would just graph a line like so, and then we're done. Okay? That's the goal today, is to graph this line. Any questions on number 1? Anyone? Okay, bless you. Good. Number 2, watch me do it one more time. Number 2 is a little bit more difficult. Okay, so turn to your neighbors really quick. Describe how you would get y by itself on this second problem. Okay, ready, set, go. So what would we do to get y by itself? What would you do first, kids? Okay, we're going to subtract 2x. Now watch carefully. I'm going to subtract 2x here on both sides. Just watch right now. No writing right now. Eyes up on the screen. Pencils down. I know it's so hard. You guys got to focus on that though. Okay, I'm subtracting 2x. You got 6y. I'm going to bring down, right? Because 2x minus 2x is nothing, right? Bring down my equal sign, and I'm going to put my minus 2x plus 6 here. Okay? How do I get y by itself now here? Okay, watch carefully. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. Okay? What's 6 divided by 6 here on the left side? 1 times y is y. Okay? Bring down my equal sign. What's negative 2 divided by 6? What's negative 2 divided by 6?
Negative 2 is 2 divided by 6.
Okay, let's do a side problem. Negative 2 divided by 6. Isn't that a fraction? What goes into both 2 and 6? 3 doesn't go into 2. What goes into both 2 and 6? Good. What's 2 divided by 2? Good. And what is 6 divided by 2? Okay, you see that? So it's negative 1/3. Y'all see this? Somebody said 3. Is it 3? No. Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure you get it, because some people are thinking so fast that they're thinking fast in the wrong way. Okay? So I want you to think in the correct way. I don't care how slow you go either. So what's 6 divided by 6? 1. Okay. Does that make sense, everyone, so far? Okay, good. Now, is this in slope-intercept form? Good. So now what's my slope? M is equal to what?
Negative 1 over 3.
Good. Negative 1 over 3. And then when you have this negative sign, pretend that the negative sign is in the numerator always, okay? The denominator will stay positive on this one. Okay, what is my y-intercept here? 1. Good. So watch what I do now. I'm going to go to 1 here on my graph, and I'm going to plot my point. Okay, and then my slope is negative 1/3, so I'm going to go down 1 and over 1, 2, 3. Plot a point here. Because that's my rise over run, you see? And then I'm going to go down 1 point and run 3. Again, so I'm running down 1 and running 3. Plot a point. And I ran out of space, so I have to go the opposite way. So I'm going to rise the opposite way 1 and run negative 3 in the opposite direction. Plot some points and draw my line. And then I'm done. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, raise your hand if you've seen this lesson before, last year or before. So, anyways, let's hear some talking. Oh, yeah, question.
Where'd you get the 1 from?
On which, here?
Yeah.
This one? Here?
Up there, yeah.
This one?
No, on the right side.
On 6 divided by 6.
This one? What's 6 divided by 6?
Oh, okay.
Good question. That's a good question, because a lot of kids, they don't see that. They think 6 just comes right here. Does that make sense? Great question. Thank you. Okay? Alright, so what I'd like you to do is 3s. Let's start with 3s today. 3s are going to talk about number 1, and then after that 4s are going to talk about number 2. And no writing until I ask you to, okay? I want to hear some talking. Ready, set, go. Okay, so we're going to move on here. So these should have been written down. If you didn't write them down, look on the video, finish them up. So here we go, next one. So let's do number 3 up here. So we'll do this together. I'm just going to leave it up here, y equals 2x plus 4. You're going to do the whole problem, and then we will come together. So I'll give you about 2 minutes with your group to do this one. Go. This is what you should have done. What is our slope, everyone? M is equal to what? Good. That means our rise is 2, run is 1, and then our y-intercept is 4. You should have plotted a point at 4 rise over rise 2, run 1, and your graph should look like this, right? Give me a thumbs up if yours looked like that, thumbs down if it didn't. Okay, pretty simple, right? Okay, cool. So that concludes the lesson.